Hello, Space Junkies, and welcome to a very special episode of What a Piece of Junk, the Star Wars podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. This episode is all about news from Star Wars Celebration Japan, which has just wrapped up about 2 days before we're recording tonight's episode of the podcast. So stick with us as we analyze all the information about the galaxy far, far away from the land of the rising sun. And joining me, Scott Baughman, your amiable host, to do all of this Star Wars celebration news analysis is my freshly minted adult 21-year-old son, Joseph. What's up, son? Happy birthday.
Hello, thank you.
And we can't do it without my original podcast co pilot, Mr. Derrick Marsh. Derrick, how's it going out there?
Konnichiwa. Hello, everyone. Yeah, we're going to talk some Star Wars celebration. It's obviously been a few days, like you mentioned, Scott, but obviously it was Easter. There was a lot of things going on for both of us. You're traveling with Joseph and the family right now. But we still wanted to talk about it. Obviously, we'll have a separate episode when we get to talk about the latest 3 episodes that dropped for Andor season 2. But let's get on this. But before we do, we're going to get one more person in here.
Yes, we're going to say domo arigato to Mr. Well, not Roboto, but Mr. Miracle. It's Nathan the Gooey Chewy Miracle.
I have been accused of being very robotic in the past.
Especially
So,
when your Wi-Fi was bad and your
yeah.
connection suffered and your microphone made you sound like a robot.
Look, I wasn't specifying when or why, but yes, that's one of the times.
So Joseph and I are on vacation, as Derrick mentioned. We're at the beautiful Carolina Beach here at the very, very southern end of the Outer Banks in our home state of North Carolina. It's beautiful. We've had great weather. Joseph did get a little sunburned and has enjoyed being able to buy beer for himself now that he's 21. In fact,
Yay!
he went to the movie theater with us to go see the excellent Sinners from Mr. Coogler, the guy who made Black Panther, although this is not a Marvel podcast. We have one of those on the FBN. Go check it out. True Believers. Anyway, excellent film, but the guy at the movie theater wouldn't sell Joseph a beer. He was looking at the license. Oh, wait a minute. That is today. Never mind. Here you go. Happy birthday. So, yeah, we had a good time. Excellent film. Everybody should go check it out. But we're not here to talk about other movies. We're here to talk about Star Wars movies, TV shows, video games, Legos, etc. Because we had all of those things being mentioned as announcements at this year's Star Wars celebration in Japan. Now, since we're on vacation, I don't have all of my bells and whistles that I normally do for the show. So I'm going to let Nathan kind of run herd and have the outline because for some reason my tablet does not really enjoy Basecamp as an app. So, Nathan, take it away for some discussion points from Celebration Japan.
Excellent. Now, I will say that my Dave Filoni network doesn't extend all the way to Japan. So I don't
What?
necessarily know as much about this stuff as I would if Celebration had been here in the States.
You should get your money back for that Filoni Wi-Fi. Why Filoni?
It's all
As
baloney.
it will be in 2027, because one of the major announcements is that Star Wars Celebration is coming back to the United States, to Los Angeles, on April 1st through the 4th of 2027. And fellas, if I can swing it, I want to go.
Yeah, Los Angeles is a cool place to visit. Mita and I went to Hollywood during part of our honeymoon way back in 2007. And then in 2019, the October before the plague, we went again to the LA area with her mom and went to go check out some stuff while Mita was attending an Adobe Creative Suite conference. She got to learn cool things about Photoshop and InDesign, but more importantly than all that nonsense, they were announcing the upcoming release of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse because Adobe was like a major sponsor for that film with all the animation techniques and whatnot. And then we did do one day at Disneyland because I had to go get a turkey leg. Also, I got to
That's
introduce.
an expensive turkey leg.
That's right. I got to introduce my mother-in-law to In-N-Out Burger, which was so much. It was great.
Yeah, that's funny. So it'll be close to Disney again because there is Disney in Japan as well.
Mhm.
One of the content creators that I follow, the Super Carlin brothers, actually got to go to Japan and go to Celebration and they took a day to go to Disney while Celebration was going on. So, maybe that's something that we can look at doing not next April, the April after next.
27. Yeah,
So that
27.
that gives us some time to save up money and make plans and whatnot. So, Derrick, are you in?
I'd like to be, so we'll see. Hopefully, we're all still alive at that point and existing, or not a dystopian, or we're allowed to actually leave the country and other, I mean, the good thing, or states, I should say, because at least this way. So, but yeah, we'll see. But no, I definitely would like to. I definitely, at some point in my life, also want to get down to California, get into the LA area, and then take up a Corvette or convertible and drive all the way up the coast.
So when Mita and I went to Cali in 2007 for our honeymoon, we did rent a convertible Chrysler PT Cruiser and drove the Pacific Coast Highway all the way down. And we stopped to eat at a little burger dive at the edge of a pier. It was awesome. I got to see a cute blonde girl in a bikini with her dog pulling her on a skateboard. It was the most California thing I've ever seen. And even Mita was like, "That was an excellent moment of the tourism thing." All right, Joseph and
Uh,
I may switch to no video just to like conserve bandwidth.
Sure.
Maybe I don't know.
all right. Well, hopefully by that time, we'll be talking about other things on this podcast. And some of the things that we'll be talking about will be new stuff that they announced or at least gave us updates on at Star Wars Celebration. So I've kind of broken out all of the news into three categories. And the first one is new stuff. The first new thing we're going to get is Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters on May 22nd of 2026. We've got two big pieces of news here. Sigourney Weaver is going to be in it. I don't know exactly what she's going to be playing. I heard rumors that
She's a rebel.
I heard rumors that she's going to be a rebel or a New Republic military person or a pilot, but I've not really gotten any hard confirmation on any of that. But we do know another character who's coming back, and that is Zeb. Zeb is going to be a Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yes,
So let's,
that's pretty awesome.
yes, Derrick, what are your thoughts about Mandalorian and Grogu coming in May of 2026?
Well, the big thing is that there was leaked a trailer. So that's now where Scott and I can get hyped up because there's actually a trailer that exists for a Star Wars movie. So now, which we knew this movie, out of all the movies that they've announced over the past 5 years, this movie was going to happen. We know Grogu and Mando are the cash cow. It's easily, this movie is going to break $1 billion, even if the movie's not that good, but by the looks of it, if you haven't watched that trailer leak, it looks phenomenal. I'm super excited. But yeah, no, you get the Sigourney Weaver actually makes, her appearance in that trailer. Super cool. And then they have a really cool action sequence. Again, I'm not going to ruin it, but it's really awesome. And then, yeah, you get a quick snippet of Zeb and Din Djarin walking together, which appears probably somewhere at one of the New Republic bases or whatever in this scenario. It sounds like basically they are hiring Mando to help them basically wipe out maybe the remaining empire or some type of jobs that they need his skill set for, because he's got a particular skill set. And he's also got a particular side buddy of his, which is by Grogu. I'm a little disappointed that he still doesn't have any type of true Mando gear yet. That I was hoping we would get like him at least like in a little bit of armor, other than, because didn't we fully say that he had to turn back his chainmail to Luke, so he didn't get to keep it, right? So he doesn't have his mithril anymore. But otherwise, no, super excited because we got
I
that.
thought he had to keep his mithril, but he couldn't keep his lightsaber. Isn't that?
Yeah, he had to pick one.
Okay, so he got to keep the mithril.
He
Okay.
picked
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
he's
best
at
part,
least
yeah.
got that, but again, he's still covered in his little Jedi robes and stuff like that. Again, super cool. He actually says no words yet, but still makes his noises. So maybe we'll get that towards the end as a big spoiler. But yes, awesome.
And Scott, I know you're excited about the date of that release.
Yes, I'm so happy, as some people saw in the Facebook group for the podcast and my own personal Facebook page. I was all, Star Wars is coming back to movie theaters in a May month in 2026. I have been wanting summer Star Wars ever since we got Disney purchasing Lucasfilm. way back in 2012. And then they were all like, we're going to have it come out in December for Christmas Star Wars. And I'm like, no, JJ. George Lucas and I have a deal. Every year he gives me, or every year that he's going to make Star Wars, he gives me a birthday present, and that is a new Star Wars movie on or about my birthday of May the 19th. This is what happens when you're born the same year that Star Wars comes out. But of course, JJ was like, I'm not returning your calls. How did you get this number? So I didn't get any Star Wars in May until Solo. And then Solo, quote unquote, bombed. Let's not talk about actual box office receipts. But anyway, Solo didn't do so well. And so we didn't get another Star Wars in May, well, pretty much since 2018 when Solo did not so great with a May release. But, Marvel has sort of taken over the summer blockbuster season. But finally, Disney and Lucasfilm have decided that they're going to give it a shot and go ahead and release The Mandalorian and Grogu, the Star Wars film for those guys, next May, right around the same time that some particular Marvel movie comes out. I don't remember. Does anybody remember what Marvel movie is coming out?
I will Google it, Foo, while we're talking.
Yeah, engage your Google food. But the point is, I think, they kind of have to accept at some point here that people are capable and, in fact, sometimes really like to go see more than one movie in the same month. So, let's not let these calendar lockouts or blackout dates, if you will, keep impacting every Disney franchise because Disney owns so many things now that would be almost impossible. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's a little movie on May 26th called Marvel Avengers Doomsday.
It's May 1st. May 1st is when
May 1st. Okay.
May 1st. So it's gonna have 3 weeks. It's gonna have 3
3
weeks.
weeks is enough of a buffer, I think. Just
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
small side project for Robert Downey Jr.
But Disney's gonna own the month of May next year.
Absolutely.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So everybody else just run away.
All right, Joseph, what do you think?
That they own May this year.
Yeah, because they got Thunderbolts coming out. So
Yep.
I
They
thought
do.
that's gonna be really, really good.
I am very excited about
Got
that.
my tickets, so
Nice. Anyway, Joseph, what are your thoughts about Star Wars Mandalorian and Grogu being announced? And have you watched that sneak peek teaser trailer?
The only thing I've seen for the sneak peek, but to me it personally looks like AI because it's clearly over Deadpool and Wolverine because Zeb has the same like wings as Wolverine's mask.
Yeah, Joseph has not found the.
So I haven't seen like the official trailer yet.
There's nothing officially because we just have some bootlegs of
Okay.
people that were in Japan.
Right,
I'm
right,
gonna
right.
record it on my phone.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I'm pretty excited for the movie because I love the Mandalorian. It was really good. It was probably the best like live action project other than like the Kenobi show that Star Wars have done so far. Ahsoka was good. I liked it because it gave me the conclusion of Star Wars Rebels, and that was a second favorite cartoon of mine. But I hope that we get to see other Rebels characters in the Mandalorian and Grogu film than just them.
Yeah, and we definitely will see more Rebels characters in the second season of Ahsoka, but we will talk about that a little bit later. Next, I want to go to my favorite announcement of Star Wars Celebration, and that is a new animated series called Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for this series. Sam Witwer comes back. He is going to be the voice of Maul. He talked about Maul while he was there. One of the things he said was that when they were making the Clone Wars and they were making Rebels, he kept yes, the Shadow Collective. There it is. When they were making Clone Wars and Rebels, whenever Maul was in it, he wanted to do more stuff with Maul. And Dave kept telling him, yeah, but it's not Maul's show, so we can't do that. And Dave is right, because he's always right. It wasn't Maul's show, except Rebels kind of was for a little while, but we won't talk about that. But there's a whole lot more to Maul that we don't know, that we didn't see, that happens in between episode 3 and episode 4, and really between episode 3 and Rebels.
and Solo.
And Solo. And we're going to find out a whole lot more about that. And Sam Witwer gets to do a lot of the stuff that he always wanted to do with Maul, but always got told that it's not Maul's show. Well, guess what? It's Maul's show now. And from what I understand,
Take that, execs.
he is still going to be a bad guy. This isn't going to be one of these morally gray, oh, he's a bad guy, but he's not really a bad guy. No, it's a bad guy fighting against even worse guys.
Right.
So he might be the protagonist of the series, but that doesn't make him a hero.
No, definitely not. I mean, Maul is like the quintessential Star Wars villain. I mean, when he and Qui-Gon Jinn had their fateful duel, in fact, Duel of the Fates, in The Phantom Menace, it was basically Jesus fighting the devil.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
George Lucas has always been clear that that's what he had in mind, and that's why the guys look the way they do. Liam looks like Christ, or at least the Eurocentric version of Christ. And oh my gosh, if Darth Maul isn't the devil, he's red with black stripes and horns. Come on, it's the most obvious. It's barely even symbolism. So having Maul have some sort of redemption arc, I was always against this idea. And even the way he finishes his story in Star Wars Rebels, I don't feel that it was very much a redemption arc. He's still a bad
No.
guy. He just wants to know that Palpatine is going to get what's coming to him by virtue of Anakin being, or Luke being the chosen one, depending on how you want to look at it. And so having a Maul animated series focused on those years that we don't know much about is great. Although I did see some really good analysis, about this from I think it was Coffee with Kenobi, another podcast out there, that said there aren't as many spaces in Maul's life now that are unfilled in. It's getting pretty tight as to his entire timeline because we know when he was born, basically, thanks to some comic books and Star Wars Dathomir. And then we obviously know when he dies at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars Rebels.
Mhm.
So his entire life, we're getting to the point now where we may reach a day when, like, almost every day of Maul's life as an adult.
Somebody will be able to cut and
So-
snip it all together, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
they're like, here's the Maul Maxi cut. It will take you 17 hours and 46 minutes to watch every filmed or animated moment of Maul's life. And the person who makes this will, of course, include themselves recorded flipping pages on Marvel Unlimited app for the comic books and graphic novels.
I demand voice acting. They have to read the lines too.
I got it. Yeah, they
So-
got an
Sam Witwer can do he can do the recording.
Derrick, what are your thoughts about Maul, Shadow Lord?
I mean, obviously animation stuff under Filoni is phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to that because again, we've got some great stuff here releasing here in a couple of weeks with the Underworld, Tales of the Underworld that we're getting here. So again, more stuff. I'm cool with that. It's always good. But I mean, let's be honest, for the most part, most of the best Star Wars, at least, written wise, it's come from the animation. So
It really has, yeah.
so no, to be
Particularly
fair,
when Maul's involved.
to be fair, I mean, it is a series, right? They've had multiple seasons. So, but again, to digress, focusing on this, I mean, my biggest thing is that this is really going to be, I think, kind of that, point of post Siege of Mandalore, when he escapes from Ahsoka and Rex at the end of that, kind of filling in maybe a gap in between to when he makes his quick cameo at the end of Solo. And then really, hopefully what it's going to be is then filling in from that piece going on until basically we see him again to your point, Rebel season 2. So I would imagine, it's probably going to be, if we get it like Bad Batch, it'll be 30 some minute episodes. We'll get maybe about 20 episodes if we're fortunate. If not, I mean, as long as it's complete stories, knowing Filoni, it's probably going to be several arcs the way he likes to write. And that's fine, right? You could do almost kind of what they're doing with Andor right now, where it's a 3-episode arc that covers a year span, right? So it kind of can go through that and get, 4 or 5 years involved with that. But the biggest thing I'm most excited about, though, is that this gets us an opportunity to hopefully see Kira, hopefully see Han Solo, hopefully
Mando.
voiced by the appropriate people. Maybe even, a quick vision of Lando at somewhere if he's in there, because that's the cool thing about this is that this is going to be, again, other than Darth Maul, part of his thing is he doesn't really put himself into other play with other Force users, right? Because that's what part of his ability to be so powerful in this is that he's the only Force user. So really, hopefully it's going to be a lot more underground. It's obviously going to be about the syndicates and the Hutt cartels and everything else. So again, I'm excited for that because again, we're going to get some fleshed out stories and hopefully some good cameos. And hopefully this might propel some interest in us, one, maybe finally getting Solo 2, and or maybe finally getting the Lando Chronicles.
Yes. All right, Joseph. Do you have anything to say about the Maul series upcoming? Did you know about it?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I kind of agree with what Derek said. I hope we get more story to the why Maul was there in Solo, more than just like his little cameo. But I kind of do want to see more of well, I guess maybe not, but I'm trying to think of the actor's name, but that actor who played Vision, his character,
Paul Bettany,
yeah,
who
Paul,
played
Dryden Voss.
yeah, I want to see
Yes. Yeah.
him, um, and like kind of his
That's
story,
very possible.
why he was there. But yeah, hopefully we get like Solo too, because I enjoyed Solo. I don't know why people thought it was a terrible movie. Maybe they're just terrible, but who knows?
They were boycotting because of the Last Jedi.
Yeah, there were a lot of reasons that did not actually pertain to Solo.
Yeah.
But
I-
moving on, because we do have to go kind of quick here. We have a couple of other kind of smaller things. One is the Volume 3 of Star Wars Visions, which includes a sequel to The Ninth Jedi, which is something that we on this podcast have said many times we want to see. So, well, we do. I really don't have much more to say about it than that. I want to see it.
Yeah, I love the fact that they're going to take Vision's characters and situations and expand out on them. So now we'll have almost what we, back in the day, we used to have novel canon, comic book canon, and then movie canon and video game canon for Star Wars. I feel like we're going to reach a point where we have basically this is Star Wars Vision's canon, right? Because the Ninth Jedi short in the original Volume 1 of Star Wars Visions was almost set like far into the future compared to the rest of the Star Wars stories we know, and even the rest of the Star Wars stories that were in Visions Volume 1. So the Ninth Jedi was one that I always wanted to see more about because I loved the concept of like a round table of Jedi. I loved how much it was futuristic samurai, which is such a great aesthetic. I love it so much. There's a group in One Page Rules, a new miniatures game that I've been playing called the Eternal Dynasty, which are basically samurai in space, but they're not human beings; they're aliens. And so they wear samurai armor that's cybernetically enhanced. They basically have lightsabers that are katana shaped, so on and so forth. Very much like the Ninth Jedi in Visions Volume 1. And so knowing that they're going to make another story in that universe, continuing that on, so great because the world building they did, even in that tiny little short in Volume 1, was just super in depth and filled with potential. So, yeah, I'm really excited about follow up.
Hey, Joseph, how about you? Have you watched the season 1 of Visions?
Yeah, season one was probably far better than season two, in my opinion. But my two favorite from season one was the twins. I thought that was really cool. The fighting in that was just amazing. And then I forget the episode name, but it was like where it was these kids and they were like on Tatooine and they had to like play in Jabba the Hutt's band.
Tatooine Rhapsody.
Yeah, I like that one too. That one's pretty good. So I hope we get a continuation of both of those as well.
By the way, you guys, if you're HasLab subscribers or Hasbro Plus subscribers, there's an action figure coming out. I've got to find a way to get one, even though it's ridiculously expensive, and I have no space to display action figures, but this is way too cool. It's the Ronin and R5D56 or D59. The Ronin and his droid from the very first short from Star Wars Visions Volume 1. And in keeping with the artistic style of that short, the character, action figure, and the droid are all black and white and shades of gray, except
Nice.
his katana-esque lightsaber, which is red.
And my understanding is there's going to be a sequel to that one, The Duel, as well.
Yeah, that one was really good too.
But I wasn't able to get hard confirmation on that, so I didn't want to lead off with that. Derek.
So real quick, just to clarify though, so Vision season 3 is coming out this October 29th, right before Halloween, and and then the Ninth Jedi is getting its own series, which is
it's
getting its own series. So it's going to be multiple episodes and world building. That was the big announcement for the Ninth Jedi.
Even better, because as Scott said, the world building for that short was incredible, and we wanted to see more.
Yeah, I mean, to the point of that. I mean, that was a la, hot, like the best Japanese anime coming out from the '80s and the '90s. That's the style it brought you, the dystopian future world type deal, and the way the characters and designs are. So yeah, I mean, we've all agreed that was probably, um, uh, for most of us, at least the top three out of season one. We all enjoyed that one, and we all agreed that one. And I mean, to be fair, Ronin has gotten its own manga series. They've already released, I think, 2 or 3 volumes of it, or continuation stories. But I agree that would be a great one to get additional world building as well. And then the duel, as you mentioned, I think that one though is actually getting a sequel in season 3. I think it's just a single episode, but it's going into that time frame universe. So.
All right. Well, that brings us to the final new thing that we have, and that is an announcement that comes with a actor. Ryan Gosling is going to be the main character of Star Wars Starfighter, releasing May 28th of 2027. My understanding is that this one is supposed to be set a few years after the events of episode 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. So this will be the farthest in the future that we've had for kind of the mainline stuff, not counting the Ninth Jedi. But that's 2 years away. And Derrick, I know you have thoughts about that fact.
Well, I mean, the fact that they have somebody like Ryan Gosling tied to it's great, right? Like I'm all for that, right? But at the same time, it's like they don't have a script still, and that means they'd have to start getting that done and putting it. Now, under what we're doing for this, I'm feeling that this is actually potentially maybe going to take a bit from, and maybe they had a starting script, and it was Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, because that was
That makes
initially
sense.
what her Rogue Squadron was supposed to be, was post Rise of Skywalker. So, and obviously there was a lot of fan, distaste for that, especially hardcore fans, because we all know Rogue Squadron's tied to Wedge Antilles, and it's evolved around, the original trilogy. So, and that's still potentially on the table, but again, we won't do that. So I think that's where this is coming into play, where I can now see, okay, that makes a little bit more sense to me. And they may even be pulling some things from the Rey movie, because again, that's still been up in the air and there hasn't been any movement other than an announcement that came out 2 years ago with that. So who knows where they might already have some good base of that storyline. They just need to get everything finalized and put together, because yeah, for that literally to be out in almost 2 years from now, they got to get a lot of stuff, action and done, starting this fall, I'd imagine.
All right, Joseph, I see you chomping at the bit over there.
Because I'm kind of confused on why we need a Ray movie when we already have 3.
Well, it's supposed to be her rebuilding the Jedi Order.
But she already did that.
Well, no, I mean, but it's going to introduce like
With her as the master.
yeah. So like
I
the
feel
people,
like she already did that though.
but who is she training? That's
The other kids from the end of
Broom Boy.
Finn, I think she is training Finn.
I don't think John Boyega is going to be welcome back to any Star Wars movies anytime soon.
If it's like him and Jaina and the other stormtroopers that were with Jaina from the First Order, like all the other stormtroopers that felt the call of the light side, like Finn.
Yeah, but John Boyega has gone totally off script in some things, calling out Disney and all that stuff. But anyways, but I'm just saying. But to Joseph's point, right, that there is a storyline there, though. So, but again, will they make anything of it? Who knows?
Yeah, the Rey movie is supposed to have been on its way for almost pretty much since Rise of Skywalker ended, and so
they announced it at the last celebration, which was 2 years ago.
Yeah. But to talk about Starfighter, I think it's gonna be good. I'm glad it's Ryan Gosling. I enjoy Ryan Gosling. I liked La La Land and I liked Blade Runner. Those are pretty good movies.
He's good in the Stuntman too.
Yeah, Fall Guy was good too.
Fall Guy.
But I think it's just gonna be a Star Wars version of the Driver. So.
And see, I think it will have a little. It will be like Driver, but I think it'll have a little bit of Top Gun mixed in.
I was gonna
Um,
say Top Gun /
Mhm.
Maverick. Yeah,
and
that's what I
so,
was going for.
but here's my thing: why I think this is so great in a meta sense. You guys know what Ryan's first job in show business was?
The
Not
nanny.
a clue.
He was a Mouseketeer in the new Mickey Mouse Club.
Was that
So
before he got on the nanny?
it was before the nanny. I'd have to double check the overlap there. I'm pretty sure Ryan Gosling is one of those kids that was one of the new Mickey Mouse Club. But anyway, so having him work for Disney again to me is hilarious. And also, I loved him as Ken and Barbie. I think he was great. So that shows
Yeah,
that he has
he's good.
really, really good comedic timing.
I
So
also
he's going to
love
be good. I think as a pilot, he'll be like the quintessential.
Maybe he can play Dash Rendar.
Oh, that would be cool. I can see him. He's going to be the quintessential snarky pilot, like Poe Dameron or
Han
Maverick in
Solo.
Top Gun or Han Solo. And if you watched any of the press release or press conference and the panel, he wore a "Never Tell Me the Odds" ball cap. So he was kind of giving subtle hints that he was going to be a bit like Han.
Very nice. Well, we do have a couple of other casting announcement news items. So these are not new series, but they're both for Ahsoka. One is the replacement for Ray Stevenson as Balin Skull is going to be Rory McCann. Now, I don't know too much about Rory McCann. I don't know if any of you guys do.
Well, he was in Game of Thrones. That's probably his most
The Hound.
his biggest role to date as far as wide appeal. And so he was a consummate, like brutal fighter. His character in Game of Thrones was scarred pretty badly, so he was just always in a bad mood. He was kind of like a bodyguard for Peter Dinklage's dwarf character, Tyrion Lannister. And so, also, Lannisters in Game of Thrones are in a world full of bad guys. They are
The Malls.
They're worse.
kind of the worst of guys. And so, I mean, this is the family that dealt with a whole lot of incest and attempted rape and actual rape and killed or tried to kill one of the kids from House. Help me out, Derrick. What's
Uh,
Stark? House Stark. They
yeah,
tried to
Stark.
kill
Yes.
one of the kids from House Stark when he caught them doing bad things with each other. No, Bran. They shoved him out of a window at the top of a tower. He fell, presumably to his death, but not really.
I mean, and they did kill the dad. Essentially, I mean, that's the
Yes,
reason
and
why Sean Bean died.
Sean
So
has to die in whatever project.
Well, this isn't a Game of Thrones podcast, so we're going to move on.
But yes, Rory McCann is most well known for being the Hound, and so being a bad guy, but a bad guy who has a plan, is really in his wheelhouse. And so we feel like that Balin Skull is. Some people argue whether or not he's actually a bad guy, but he certainly has a plan.
He
Uh,
does.
Seeing him do machinations and honestly work on the edges or right down the middle of the dark side is probably well within his wheelhouse as an actor. And I do know that he was pretty good friends with Ray Stevenson, and they have worked together in the past. So he could, I don't want to say copy, but at least emulate the ideas and the tone that Stevenson himself set with his performance of Balin Skull.
Very good. Well, we do have one other person that we know is coming back to Ahsoka, but this is a coming back to, not a new actor or a new character. It is Hayden Christensen is coming back as Anakin. So it's unclear whether he's going to be Darth Vader or Anakin, or if it's going to be a flashback similar to what we got in season 1, but he will, in some form or fashion, play Master Skywalker in the next season of Ahsoka.
and I'm hoping with that we'll also get more Ariana Greenblatt to play young Ahsoka, and we get our live action Clone Wars in
Yeah.
Ahsoka. Just because again, that's all I want. I want live action Clone Wars at this point because they can make it happen because they've done it already with Ahsoka
Yep.
as the flashback.
And for
I
every
would not be surprised if the reason we see Hayden is because once Ahsoka gets into the section of Peridia where the son, the father, and the daughter are from Mortis,
Where Balin's going.
yeah, where Balin's going, and once Ahsoka gets over there, because she's been there before since she was involved in Mortis, she'll see Anakin as a vision, or even It'll be like Star Trek Generations, where a piece or an echo of Anakin remains within the Mortis gods or Mortis symbolism. And so when it comes time to explain to the audience what the heck is going on, there'll be this like echo of Anakin Skywalker there to talk to Ahsoka, but also talk to us, the audience.
Well, yeah, obviously there's more in between, the worlds in between worlds type deal stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for the casting news that I've got. I do have 4 pieces of other news I'm going to just go through right quick to wrap us up here. The first is about Star Wars Outlaws. We found out that that is getting a story update and has been announced for the Nintendo Switch 2, which hopefully we'll be able to get.
pre-ordered today.
Um, there, there's some concern over tariff
The
concerns.
price of the system is not. It's all the accessories and games that'll go up.
Yeah, that's entirely
You'll have a
possible.
system, but you won't be able to do anything else with it.
And a lot of the accessories are not necessary, quite frankly.
No, and you'll be able to digital download, and that's not tariffs involved.
$500 for
Yeah,
the base
$6.99.
system. Oh,
Well, it's $450 for the base system. $500 you get the $80 Mario Kart World with it. That's the $500 bundle. But
Yeah.
anyways,
It's
this
still
isn't a Switch 2 podcast.
it's still a lot of money. Money that could instead go to Hasbro's Dash Rendar and Jedi Survivor figures.
I thought you were saying Star Wars Celebration 2027.
That too. Actually, honestly, it's enough that I could put some towards these figures and some towards the vacation.
absolutely. But yes,
Well-
a Dash Rendar figure in the year 2025. I mean, college me is just like high-fiving me through the temporal gateway here because I'm like, Dash Rendar, Shadows of the Empire. That's so cool. Because when Disney first bought Lucasfilm and announced we're excising all the EU stuff, I was like, well, so much for Shadows of the Empire. But it hasn't gone away. If anything, it's received more merch and attention than it did in the past 30 years. So that's really great.
Yep.
Well, and your Jackson's going to be making his television debut in the whatever Galaxy Rebuild or whatever series that they're getting a season 2 of. So there you go too in 2025.
So Lego Jackson or Star Wars Lego.
Oh, Rebuild the Galaxy.
Rebuild the Galaxy. Yep. And then, of course, one of the other announcements at Star Wars Celebration, or panel, I should say, was a celebration of like 30 years of Star Wars Lego, or 20 years. Sorry, 20 years of Star Wars Lego, which is pretty amazing in and of itself. Yeah, I love the idea that we're getting a Lego Star Wars Jackson, and of course, I have a Jackson action figure from a couple of years ago when they did all of the like book fold open, EU action figures from Hasbro. I mean, people can complain a lot about what Disney changed about Lucasfilm, and many of those complaints are warranted. But for me, as a Star Wars fan, since pretty much I came out of the womb, I am very excited to see all the things we got that I thought we'd never get. A Jackson action figure? I mean, let's be honest, you guys. Even during the original Star Wars Marvel Comics run, the Big Green Rabbit was only in like 4 or 5 issues, and then kind of forgotten, except for a few jokes or in gags, gags or in jokes, I should say. And then now he's like a legitimate character, and he's got his own Star Wars CCG card from the Players Committee, and he's got his own action figure, and he's going to be a Lego. What more could you ask for?
Live action.
And that's happening too. Well,
I mean, we did get him in Skeleton Crew season 1. Maybe we'll get a season 2, and he can make a cameo then.
Well, all the money that I don't spend on the Switch 2 and do spend on these figures and Legos will leave me with no money to spend on Monopoly Go, which is getting a Star Wars version. Do I care?
Nope.
No. Do it? Do
No.
so on
We
to
can
the,
move on.
to the last point is Grogu is coming to Smuggler's Run.
which is fascinating. Smuggler's Run is a well, go ahead, dude.
No. Go ahead.
Smuggler's Run is the basically video game that you ride when you pilot the Millennium Falcon at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney Parks.
I think they're going to go the Star Tours route where you can get multiple interactive versions of the game that you're supposed to be doing as you fly on the Millennium Falcon. So to me, that's the best thing you could do. Make it where you want to ride the ride more than once because it's something slightly different.
Keep him
So
coming back.
Yep.
rather than Chewbacca or Hondo Onaka
Hondo Anaka.
giving your marching orders on Smuggler's Run, you might have Hondo talking about, you've got to go and get this little green guy. And so he wants you to go rescue Grogu, or Grogu wants you to go pick up an order of frogs.
Would you like frogs with that?
So he can have frog legs. He has to fly over to whatever the new section of the Disney park that contains the Muppets is, so he can get frog legs. And Kermit can be like, "Will you stop it?
But our French fried frog legs.
Fricasseed frog legs."
It's voiced by Jim Cummings. That's all that matters.
Yes.
That'd be pretty funny if Grogu ends up getting voiced by Jim Cummings.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so good.
Well, that's all the news that I have from Lake Wobegon or Star Wars Celebration. So, do you guys have any other news that you found that you'd like to bring up before we wrap things up?
Well, there was one more video game announced. I'll let Derrick say what he was going to say while I go find the exact name of it.
The Ground Zero
Ground Zero. Yes, I think that's right.
or
It
Zero
does
Company.
say-
Zero Company.
Zero Company. Star Wars
Yeah.
Zero Company was announced. And it's almost like a Star Wars version of the old XCOM video games. Sort of a three.
Well, the newer XCOM games.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, basically a strategy game of like small squad tactics.
yeah.
So it looks pretty good. I
Yeah.
think it's a try on PC.
Yeah, I'm only the only thing I'm a little disappointed about it is that I want it to be like the original XCOM where it was more infantry based and you just had a bunch of grunts and you went around and did the soldiers. This is like you have like a team of like 5 people and that's your team. And it's basically, you're gonna build them with XP and all that, which the original XCOM had that, but I had it there's a bit more diversity and you could do a bit more flexibility and get more like infantry based, legion based ground tactics versus just kind of like a squad based tactics, which again still could be cool. The only other bad thing about it though is it's not. I was hoping again it was going to be more either rebels or clones or separatists. This is more like scoundrels, and you got a mixture of people, and it's like, would this really exist in this timeline? It doesn't make sense to me. But again, I'll give it a shot. It might be an interesting story, but that's the only thing that I'm disappointed in is it's not more military based. It's more kind of just scoundrel and ragtag team. Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm also a little disappointed that it's in the Clone Wars era. So these guys, it's almost like they're a mercenary commando
A
group.
wannabe Bad Batch.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was going to say, if you're going to do let's do some Black Ops off the record mission.
Yeah, it should have been the Bad Batch.
Just send the Bad Batch, and that could be this game.
Yeah.
This could be their Bad Batch video game. But instead, we have all new characters who aren't clone warriors at all and are still fighting for the Republic as like independent operators, which is a cool concept. But again, you have a group of almost independent operators with the Bad Batch. So just send Clone Force 99 to do these missions.
Absolutely.
But then we have a lot of baggage, if you will, of their own backstory as Clone Force 99. And so people would be like, well,
Still would have been cool.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. Well, that was a whole lot of information from Star Wars Celebration. So we didn't have any time to get to Andor, but we will be talking about that when we record this coming Sunday. So keep an eye out wherever you found this podcast. You will also find us talking about Andor starting next week. And until then, live long and prosper. Wait, nope, that's the wrong franchise.
Maybe I'll convince Joseph to actually watch Andor so he can come on and give his thoughts.
I'm halfway through season 1. All right.
Hopefully you're enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a lot though. I will say.
It is. a lot.
It is.
It's
It is.
grown up Star Wars, but that's good though. Something different. So,
Yep.
All right,
All right.
cool. Well, as Nathan said, we'll see you guys next time on the next episode so that we can then talk about Andor. But until then, please always remember to respect each other and always respect each other's fandom. All right, Nathan, punch it.